last week, I quoted Unity Minister Temple Hayes. She says that in Unity, we don't have rules, we have tools. And when we think about tools, we think about woodworking, hammers and saws and sandpaper and planers. And think about art, there's paintbrushes and canvases and charcoal and pencils. Think about cooking, there's tools, pots and pans and blenders and mixers. And think about your office. You have a laptop and a cell phone and maybe an iPad. There's all kinds of tools that we use. We use tools to repair things. We use tools to clean things when they're dirty. We use tools to create new things. But these are all physical tools with physical things. What about spiritual tools? Well, we're kicking off a new book study today. This is the book. It's called Living Originally, 10 Spiritual Practices to Transform Your Life. And it's written by Robert Brumman. It's not a long book. It's only 190 pages. But we're going to take our sweet time with it. Like a good cup of coffee. Just sit and enjoy it, right? Slow and steady. The book describes 5 core spiritual practices, and these are the chapter headings, so don't bother jotting down them. They're right in the book. Radical self-awareness, deep self-acceptance, unlimited forgiveness, universal benevolence, and compassionate communication. We'll complete these 5 chapters by middle of November. And then the book goes on for another 5 chapters of special spiritual practices. And they're also chapter headings. I think we'll tackle these or dig into these after the holidays, so think next January. The special practices are, they sound great. Everything is my teacher. Dancing with chaos. Death is my advisor. Living in the heart of desire, and I am the author of my life. This is going to be an adventure. We're going on a journey together, a transformation journey using this book. So this is how it's going to work. Starting September 7th, which is the first Sunday after Labor Day weekend, my message will be about the first practice, which is self-awareness. And I invite you to read along in the book. They're available at our bookstore, but that's optional. You don't have to have the book to come and enjoy the service and take this into practice, but you might get more out of it if you have the book. So we're going to go in order, slow and steady. The author recommends taking a month for each of these spiritual practices, but we're going to cut that down a little. I'll be giving a message about every 14 or 21 days, so we'll have a little time to work on this. I'll let you know ahead of time what pages to read or what chapter to read. For next time, you want to read pages 1 through 29. That's kind of the introductory material. And we're having some classes to support through this book study as well. So you'll have an option of taking a day class or an evening class. And if there's interest, we might do some home study, meeting up with friends to work on these practices together. The classes will all begin after Labor Day too. So you're probably tired of hearing about me and my dog, but we go for a walk every day, sometimes twice a day. And there's this house a few blocks away that we pass often. It's painted tan with brown trim around it, and the pavers on the driveway and the sidewalk are brown and tan, and it's all very neat and tidy with plants along the driveway and a few blooming orange flowers. And there's this yellow long scarf tied to the front doorknob. I thought that maybe they tied this scarf there for a special occasion to mark their door so people could easily find their house. But that scarf has been there since this spring. But it's unique. I've never seen a scarf tied to a doorknob before. It's an original thing. And original is in the title of this book, Living Originally. What do you think living originally means? When we hear the word original, we might think of something unique. Or we might think of something valuable, like a masterpiece, a piece of art that a great painter or sculptor created. There's a wonderful artist group that meets here. Did you know that? Every Tuesday? Some heads are shaking. I think it's from 2 to 4, every Tuesday, and you're invited. People come and bring their own art projects. There's people knitting and crocheting and painting and drawing, beading, scrapbooking, card making, quilting, you name it. It goes on in the Skylight Room every Tuesday. So come and enjoy that. This Tuesday I was in my office and they can get kind of loud. Group therapy, oh, it's fun, it's delightful to hear it. Sometimes I shut the door, but this Tuesday I went out to talk to some people and see what they were working on. And one woman showed me 2 of her paintings, and they were beautiful. They were just beautiful. And then she pulled out a book and flipped through some pages and showed me the original paintings. She was making a replica of another piece of work, and to my eye, they looked identical. They were just gorgeous. I looked up some terms and definitions that might help us. Original. Original is existing first, from the beginning. New, completely new, not copied from anywhere. It's creative, it's non-traditional, and it's maybe the source for copies being made from it. When I was reading that, I was thinking about Jesus. He is an original. A replica is a faithful copy of a work of art, and that's what that artist was doing when she was painting, looking at this photograph of another painting. A copy is a reproduction, something that's made exactly like the original and in mass quantities. Think about mass production. The author of this book, Robert Brummett, says that living originally is a bit different than how we usually think about original. He quotes an author, Cynthia Bourgeois. That's a big, long French last name. I think that's how you say it. She says, being original doesn't mean trying to be different. It means being connected to the origin. Isn't that cool? You can't be original by trying to be original. You become original by staying true to what your heart sees. I like that quote. Don't try to be different. Being original means staying true to your heart, to your inner light, to the origin of you and of me. Brummett talks about how most animals are born with survival instincts, but we humans aren't. We have to learn survival skills, and we learn them from our parents and our families and friends and our culture. He says that this conditioning creates a sense of self that we wear like a mask. It's our personality or our persona that we show to the world. And we can get so identified with this personality that we just live out of it blindly. To live authentically and originally, we must live from the center of our being, our Christ light, and not allow that conditioning to run the show. Living originally is living from the inside. When we make this shift, this change, it changes from our personality and an ego-driven existence to a life that's authentic, where we know that we are living from the Christ light, and that we know that we are all expressions of the divine. That's what transformation is, this process of shifting our identity from personality or ego to our authentic and true self. Brummett says, and I'm going to quote this, a life transformed is radically different from one's former life. One's sense of self has radically shifted. One's values and priorities have been radically redefined. A life transformed is lived with radically new meaning and sense of purpose. he uses the word radical 4 times in 2 sentences. Do you get the idea that transformation is radical? The dictionary says that transformation is to change the condition or nature or function of something. But we're talking about self-transformation, which is deeply personal, it's intimate. It involves a change in your worldview, a change in your sense of identity. Transformation is an internal process, so other people can't see the change, but eventually your words and your actions will reveal that change to other people. Brumett says that transformation is like a new dimension, and he compares it to this little story of a 2-dimensional being. So this being knows right and left and east and west and north and south, here and there. But then she hears a voice from a 3rd-dimensional being, and that voice says, move upwards. Right, left, over here, over there. What is upwards? And that's the way it might seem to us right now, a bit confusing. This book doesn't tell us exactly what transformation is, but it gives us a path to follow that might lead us to transformation. Brumett also makes a distinction between transformation and translation. I've never heard this before, so it's kind of interesting. He says that translation teachings help us function better in the world, in our existing lives. Translation is like self-help. They help us improve our health, our relationships, our finances. They make our life work better. And they also allow our ego to feel like it's in control and very comfortable. But transformation is different. It's a call to go beyond ourselves. It's a call to grow up. That which calls us, he said, is the ever-present origin, that ground of our being, the true nature of us, our higher power, whatever you want to call it, the Christ light. And this call that beckons us is a call to transformation. He says, and I'm going to quote again, translation teachings are aimed at finding a new and more functional image of oneself, but transformation is about transcending all self-images. Transformation is the freedom to function beyond confines of any fixed identity. One of Charles Fillmore's favorite Bible passages is from Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't conform to the outer world that you see, but live instead from that inner Christ light, from an awareness of oneness. Don't be a copy, a mass-produced copy. Transformation will take you to the place of living originally, living from the origin of your being. So we can't just decide with our personal will to make a transformation. It just doesn't happen that way. We can set an intention, that's important, but it's not enough. We can surrender and be honest, that's essential, but it's all a process of unfoldment. It's all a journey. Just like a gardener who cultivates the soil, then he fertilizes, and then he plants seeds, and then he waters, and then he waits. The sun and the air do their work, and then he waters and weeds and waits some more. You wait for the pollinators to come. You wait for the unfolding of leaves and the flowers to open. You wait for the transformation. You wait for the fruits to appear. There are things to do, and there's things to let go of and allow. This journey of transformation will take us to new places. We'll gain appreciation for life, all the life experiences we've had so far, and they will become like a foundation of rock. Last week we talked about building our life on a sturdy rock formation. We'll listen to our intuition and we'll learn to trust it and use it. And we'll release old patterns of thoughts and behaviors that we don't think work anymore. We'll be able to forgive and move on. There are active and passive elements to these practices described in the book. Something we do is an active element. It will be something that we'll intentionally engage in this daily practice, and that will become our new normal, a new habit. And then a passive element is something that we deliberately stop doing. A few years ago, Unity Minister Will Bowen introduced this concept of the little rubber bands. What was that? Do you guys remember? Mm-hmm. Letting go of complaints. That's it. A complaint-free world. Now that's an example of a letting go of a passive action, because it's something you want to stop doing, complaining and being critical. So it's a practice of not doing. So we learn by doing and by not doing. We learn by repetition and practice. When we follow a spiritual practice, we make it our own. We are replicating an original work of art. And we practice it, and we practice it, and it becomes our own. We make it a new creation. And it serves us, and as we do it, it reveals to us this original part of ourselves. That surprise center that I talked about last week, the Christ within. So this week I invite you, as I do every week, to look for the sacred in your everyday life. I invite you to consider your willingness to take on a daily spiritual practice that this book will ask us to do. I ask you and invite you to look at that commitment level in yourself. And then also to begin the practice of a short prayer or meditation each morning. Begin your day that way. End your day that way. And practice seeing the divine in others and seeing the divine in yourself. So we'll close with our beautiful namaste greeting. I recognize the divine light within me, and that light recognizes and honors the divine light within you. Namaste, peace and blessings.